Hi guys, David Sloane, Chief Agronomist with GroGuru here. Just wanted to tell you a little story. Funny thing happened to me this morning actually. I got a pop-up on my phone that said what I was doing 12 years ago. It showed me some videos and some pictures in a reel, and I thought I just wanted to share it with you. Why? Because that was the day that I put my first permanent probe in the ground. And it was I just want to take you on this journey and the evolution of what we've done over the last 12 years. And for those of you who know me, you'll know that I first started working with, or commercially with, soil moisture sensors back in 1999. So this is my 25th year doing it, and seen a lot of change over that time. But permanent sensors, this is a big one. So where did we start? We started with the need for permanent sensors. I've been working in the Texas Panhandle I think I started in 2009, and I was with a different company. And the farmers there were really liking what we were seeing underground. They'd never seen their root zone before, so being able to see that through the season was a revelation, and they made some big changes and huge improvements. But the one question that they really wanted answered was what happens over the winter, and especially what do I need to do in the spring? So they need to know, did they capture any winter rainfall? And if they did they get full again? Or if they didn't, which is usually the case, how much do they need to put in with pre-watering, with pre-irrigation? And so they need to manage that. And when you think about it, that's the one decision that they really can make in the season. These guys are deficit irrigators, so they're doing everything just to keep up. And so they don't really make an irrigation decision per se on when to irrigate. They just irrigate. What they learned though was how to do it better in terms of speed and getting water to penetrate. So traditionally we'd put probes, so we planted the crop and installed a probe after the plant stand had been developed, or you've got the crop up and out of the ground, and then you'd pull them out prior to harvest. So nothing was in the ground from that point forward, and that's the time that they really wanted to know what was going on. So I got asked, can we do this? Can we put a probe in underground and make it work? So always up for a challenge. We took that and ran with it. So here's the story of what we did 12 years ago. As you can see, we started with a really damn big vibrating plow. We needed to get cable in the ground, so we started with this plow, and we took the plow and ran cable through it. So we started on the outside of the field, and the T-post there was to hold the cable, was where the telemetry was going to sit. And then we started dragging this cable into the ground. And so quite the task, obviously very expensive, needing to use. We did find a smaller vibrating plow, but still we had to rent that and cart it around on a large tandem axle trailer, and it was very time consuming and a big deal. So pulling this cable into the ground, a little video here, which if I start it, you can see how the vibrating plow operates. So we were pulling that cable in underground, just straight into the field, and what we later found out was that gophers and other things love to chew the cable, so it was a bit of a target for them. So ended up pulling this out into the field. You can see where we've got the equipment waiting to be wired in, and so once we got to the appropriate spot, we pulled the cable out of the ground, and then the fun started. We had to dig a pit, and so we needed to create a false ground level and obviously build that around where the cable came out of the ground. And the false ground level was so we could take this probe and put it in the ground. So we had to wire it up prior to doing anything, make sure that we actually could read it from the outside of the circle. So you'll also notice there was a junction box at one end. There is a junction box here at the other end, so we've put it in the pipe and actually filled it with closed cell foam to try and keep the weather out. Then with that false ground level, actually installing the probe in the traditional way. Way back then we did it manually, weren't employing any kind of gas-powered auger or cordless drills. So you can see the probe sitting there. It's all wired up, ready to go. So as I said, installed the probe in the traditional way. So this was a slurry install, and once it was in the ground, then we could spool all the cable up and backfill the hole. So then had to test the site, make sure it was all working. But just reiterating, that was a monumental task. We needed big equipment. It was expensive. It was slow. But why did we do it? Because the farmers needed the info. They really, really wanted to know what was happening all the time, and especially when they could make a decision. So the other thing was that these cable, like having to wire junctions up, you were doing this down basically in the dirt. It's blowing in your face. It wasn't a fun time. So let's fast forward to what we got now. And now I've been with GroGuru for 5.5 years, and everything changed in 2019. But if I back up to when I first joined in October of 2018, Jeff Campbell had developed this, what we call the wireless underground system. And so, or WUGS for short. It's basically a transmitter that we can bury and send data from below ground to an above ground relay, which we call the Fox, and that would send data back to a base station and onto the internet. So the system was actually purpose built to go underground. It was designed to be buried, it was designed to be cable free, and it was designed to last for 5 years. And so if we just have a look at the first ones that we installed, and you can see that the probe went in. We dug a little pit, created a false ground level, put the probe in the normal way. We used a slurry, but instead of having to use all that big equipment and drag cable out there, we had a short cable run to the badger that we buried. So this whole thing was not very intrusive at all. You could go out in the field and just dig a small hole, put all the equipment in, stand up the telemetry, and off you went. It was super simple, super quick, cheap and efficient, and we loved it. So what you got was data that came from prior to planting all the way through into the winter. And so it was a revolution. We'd never had that before. And even if we'd left a seasonal probe out there through the winter, you had to pull it out again prior to the planting of the next crop. Not anymore. So we've got that data that can go continuously. And if you fast forward 5 years, and it's basically that first unit that we put out, in 5 days' time, it'll be the 5-year anniversary. So happy birthday to WUGS. And in that 5 years, we haven't lost a single badger. This stuff just works. It works super well. I've got to tell you, I was so nervous when we first put this out because I'd gone through that. What was a wreck? And what I didn't tell you was that with that other company, we put out a couple of hundred the cable-based underground probes. And of those couple of hundred, more than half of them died in the first big rainfall event. So all the junction boxes leaked, they got water in them, the probes got water in them. It was a disaster. By year 2, we were down to about 20%, and by year 3, the last one failed. And so it was a wreck. And I was nervous, but I can happily tell you that we haven't lost anything, and it just works. And it's also, last time I checked the battery about 6 months ago, we were only just at about half battery life for the badger, the underground part. So we're projecting now confidently that these will go for more than 7 years, but we're expecting a little more than that. Haven't got there yet, so we'll tell you when we do. But these are been super good, super reliable. And then the next innovation that we've just released has been cellular Fox. So we can now go anywhere. We've broken the shackles of LoRa radio networks, and now it's an even more simple installation, because we just go out, put the probe in, stand up the telemetry, and let's work with Verizon's network and not build our own. So 5 years on, we've got that continuous data stream, and I can tell you that I've never seen anyone anywhere get 5 years of continuous data where they can farm over the top of that probe. It just in row crops. So yeah, there's been lots of long-term data in vines and tree crops, permanent plantings, but nothing out there where people have to farm over it. You have to get that probe out of the way. Where people have tried, what they've done is had to go round the probe, and so it's not a true measurement of what's actually happening in that field. But here we are, we've gone 5 years, and right now I can look into the future with confidence. This happens to be from not far away from where we've put the first permanent probes out that I was showing you with those pictures. And here we see it's a corn-cotton rotation, but we've come out of a corn crop in 2023 and we're going back into a cotton crop in 2024, and all set, ready to go. But we've got total confidence in what that crop should do, and where the full point is, where the how dry we think we can get the soil. Why? Because we've done it before and we haven't pulled the probe. So this is just repeating what's happened before, but we can now do it with total confidence looking into the future. And we're already set. And by the way, we actually need to start pre-watering this field and build the moisture up again, which is exactly why we've got these probes out there. So looking ahead, we've actually been growing our support with the cellular units. We can now go anywhere in the country. So we're really looking. We haven't been in Nebraska or central and eastern Kansas much, or any other states really, other than the flat country in southwest Texas. So we're building the team. We're also building out our service providers and dealer network, and we've got some new hardware developments that are coming. But it's all based around the reliability of Badger. That Badger system, the WUGS, the wireless underground, is a brilliant system, and I've got to hand it to Jeff Campbell. He has built something that it's revolutionary and it's tried and tested, and so we've proven that we can go 5 years, and there's no reason to suggest we can't go well into the future with that original equipment. And of course, we're always working on the software, so looking to leverage that really, really clean data. So thank you guys. It's been a wonderful journey, and we're really looking forward to the future.